Hey everyone, it's Paul Pritchard here. Hope you're well today. Today what we're talking about is how do I work out the gross numbers of the cost of owning a property. So what we've got is these 5 steps here, and then make sure you have a look later because I'll give a live example after this. So the first thing I'll go is the net income. So for me that is the rent you get per week times by 52 weeks, and let's assume for this exercise it's a brand new property. I assume about 15% goes on property management, land tax, rates, water, miscellaneous maintenance, about 15% of the rent. So for me, that's how I come to my net income coming in from that property. The next part is the expense. So what I do is I add the purchase price plus the purchase costs, and then I times that by the interest rate that I have on my loan at the moment, or as a good guide of what's available to me. So for me, that gives me a good gross number of what the property will cost me for ownership for that year. The next thing, so what I do from there is how much is that going to cost this year? So all I do is I get my net income in 1, and I minus the expense off 2, and see what the number is from there, and that'll let me know in cash flow wise each year how much that property will cost me. We then move on to tax and depreciation. So let's say we've got some tax and depreciation to allow for, and let's say it was a new property with the depreciation of $12,000 to $13,000 a year. For a conservative figure, I then times it by 30%, which is the marginal tax rate for an average type person on an average wage. So it gives me a figure that I can run with. So then the end result, how much is this property going to cost me each year? I then minus the annual cash flow outcome, minus what we would get back on tax and depreciation, and that gives me the number. And then if I want to know what that is weekly, it's just the same number in there and divide it by 52. So again, these are gross numbers. The 85% in particular is what I allow for new properties. People always have their opinions around this, but it just gives us a really good guide of how much is this property going to cost me each year. I'll move on to the example.